And
can you pull out that big ass hide just to show?
For sure.
I was when you pulled that out earlier, I was quite surprised.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So they do
that one of those could get that big.
Yeah, they get up to 100 pounds.
I a couple years ago saw like 30 of them all together, and like I didn't know that they ate that much.
Yeah.
So just thinking about like how much seafood that 30 of those things are eating in a day, it's crazy.
Yeah. So in where we used to harvest sea urchins and abalone, last year we were able to get a few. Well, about 10 sea otter moved in there, and there's none left. So just 10 sea otter in a small area can really do some damage, and then, it takes 50 years before it'll recover, you know. But here's the pelt.
Man, look at that thing. It's like a bear.
I can't believe how big
I measure. It's 58 inches long.
And talk about tell folks about some of the qualities of the hair.
Oh yeah. So they do have guard hair, but it's not like, like a beaver where it's like long hairs. They're really close. The guard hair is really close in length to their undercoat. And they have about 1 million hairs per square inch. So there's more hair in 1 square inch of a sea otter than there is on an entire German Shepherd, just to kind of put it in perspective.
That's crazy.
And sea otter don't have a fat layer like seals, so they actually have a really high metabolism that they rely on, for warmth. And then also this undercoat, it stays dry, and they're always grooming themselves to make sure their fur is staying the way it needs to be able to trap that air and keep them warm. So their guard hair gets wet, but this under layer stays dry, unless they're diving down, and then the pressure will push, water back into there. And so they'll come up, and you'll see them grooming a lot. So they do have really unique fur. I learned that in the fur trade era, it was referred to as soft gold. And
cool.
They have different. So they have different like textures and colors. So each one is very unique. And I brought a couple here, and you can see like this one's curly. You can actually see that.
So much darker.
God, it's incredible, man.
But they are incredibly
So
soft and.
Dude, that is just wild.
You were saying these things.
The quality of that fur
can dive up to 300 feet.
Yeah, so they can dive up to 300 feet, but I think they don't prefer to do that. So you'll find them in a lot in the shallow intertidal areas where we're also trying to harvest shellfish from those areas. They're hanging out there because it's easier to dive. Food's more accessible. It's easier to get. And yeah, you may see a raft of 30 or 300. A lot of times the bigger males will be like loners. You'll see singles kind of floating here and there. Typically those tend to be like a big male. But I learned that hunters have the ability to collect the most data on these because we're the ones, skinning them. And I think a lot of biologists, they can't harvest, so they can observe to collect data. So I really was worried about traditional food security and started to up my game as far as hunting goes. So my dad and we hunted like over 170 this winter, which is a lot of.
And there's there's no limit for you guys, right?
Right. And at the rate
that's a hell of. But you got to. So when you send 170 in to start making all your hats and other products.
Yeah, they're about.
When we talked on the phone one time, you mentioned what a.
They're $100 each to tan.
Yes, you got big out of pocket expenditure.
Yeah.
And like in a normal like fur trap or whatever, it's like you get it, you put it up, it's out the door. You don't need to invest more money.
Right.
Yeah.
Into like tanning it,
and gratefully, like, I know how to sew. So my auntie taught me how to make moccasins when I was 12, but I actually learned to sew with leather when my parents had regalia made for me. When I was in second grade, they had a deerskin dress made for me, and I took the scraps and I made matching regalia for my Barbie. And that was my first experience working with leather, and I always liked it. And then I learned how to make moccasins when I was 12. But the items I sell, they are like higher priced, but they actually don't sell for as much as what they would be appraised for, because of the value is a lot higher than what the items sell for, but they last forever. So my moccasins that I made when I was 12, they stretched as my foot grew, and they just wore through. So they lasted almost 25 years.